Okay, welcome to the third part of a video about how to get high quality DI tracks and affected tracks for your recordings to maybe send to your mix engineer or mix later. Okay, so this is the third video in a two-part series where we talked about how to get this set up with JamUp and the DIs running and what interface to use. And then the second video is about how to import the tracks and then like kind of a walkthrough of how to track in general. Okay, so now the next challenge is how do we get this back out to a mix engineer? Okay, so if you want to just do a regular bounce, you can open up media, go to mixdown, and then do create mixdown. Now you've got wave, you've got M4A and FLAC, and then MIDI. So unless you have MIDI tracks, you're probably not going to be messing with MIDI. But you know, you're now for final mixes, they might actually want that. Okay, so you might have to send that. But at least for now, you know, we'll go ahead and just do wave files. It's the accepted standard for everything. Now you want to go ahead and include the effect tail, and I like to do the range between locators. And if you notice, I actually have the range set up to include the entire song. Okay, so now we just go ahead and start, and it does the mix down, and then it drops it here. Very cool. So now to get this to somebody, if I want to share it, just the mix with my friends or whatever, I can share it. You know, you have the choice to upload it directly to SoundCloud. You can put it into audio copy, which allows you to copy it from program to program and use something like file browser or something to drop it somewhere, email, or you can open it with something else if you want. You know, but I find the easiest way is just to go ahead and send it right on over to Dropbox. And then it'll ask for you to allow. Okay, and then, you know, that's assuming you've logged in and all that. You know, do you want to zip it? That'll reduce the amount of upload time. That's up to you. For mixdown, I don't really bother. I think it's okay. And it goes ahead and uploads it. So now after you've done this upload, you know, you can download it onto your computer, you know, convert it to MP3, or maybe your mix engineer can handle that for you, or whatever. But at least, you know, at this point, it's actually a high quality wave. I mean, the downside of Dropbox is it does send it over the internet, but again, I find this just to be the easiest way to do it. You know, or maybe SoundCloud if you just want to share with your friends, or email. But I find that like most email has a size limit, so Dropbox to me is definitely the best way to go. You get 2 gigs for free. If you need more, you can pay for more. You know, if you keep it clean, honestly, 2 gigs should be all you actually need. And so now, if it's finished uploading, let's go ahead and go to Dropbox, and we should be able to see it. So if we go back to our main screen, you go Apps, Cubasis. Give it a minute here. There's our demo, 14 megs. So that's, you know, that's not too bad. Okay, so now the other way to get these out, so you know, that gives you a mix down, but for actual mixing, okay, there's kind of the easy way. If your mix engineer runs Cubase or you have Cubase, the easiest way is definitely to just export the entire project. So if we go back to projects, pick our project, go share, do the same thing, Dropbox, and it does the iPad CBP. It'll include all of the files in there. So it actually includes, it'll re-include the drum tracks, re-include everything else. And the nice thing about that is you still have the main JamUp files, right? And you have the DI files. So you can take this, import it into Cubase. You have to download their special importer, but you can import it into Cubase and then kind of manipulate from there. So that's really handy. You know, so that's really easy for me to do. Now, if you're running something like Pro Tools or something like that, now you actually want to have each track just individually as waves, and some mix engineers will want that anyway. So the best way to do that is to go ahead and make sure all your channels are unmuted, okay? Because you actually want the DI tracks to come across. Now, you know, it may sound weird when you play it back, but you're not worried about that at this point. You really just want to send them all back, okay? So what I like to do is, while they're still muted, go ahead and make a snapshot, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. We'll make a snapshot. And the nice thing about that is that gives us access to our old session. So if we have the mix we like and everything like that, we can save that and then work on this one, okay, to get ready to send. Okay, so sometimes you maybe name this like, pre-send or something like that. Okay, so we have our old snapshot with our original settings that we can always load. Okay, but we can go back to our pre-send, okay, which has, the new stuff we're about to do to it. Okay, so you want to make sure that all of these are unmuted, so you hear everything. The other thing that's kind of good to do also is to go ahead and make these all mono and make sure all of your faders are at unity. So that way everything comes out at the highest, at the highest level without clipping, okay? And then we go ahead and do a mixdown from here. So we go ahead and go to mixdown. We'll do create mixdown, except this time we want to hit this button, which separates files for tracks. Now, again, FLAC is awesome because it will reduce the size, but not everything supports it. So, unfortunately, space is our enemy here, so we have to just go with wave. And it's rendering everything. Looks like it's muting each track one at a time. And there we are. There's each individual one. Okay, so, from here, we pretty much get stuck having to send each one up one at a time. So, we'll hit this one here. We'll start with the top, go to share, and, send that to Dropbox. No. Okay, so, from here, it's basically just going through one at a time and uploading each track one at a time. So it's a little tedious, but I think that, it's the way to go. The other nice thing is you can kind of only upload the ones they actually need. So maybe the guitar, most guys like to hear what tone you had in mind. So if you've dialed in a good tone, maybe they can work with it or just use it as a reference. So there's your guitar there. And then you have your other two DIs you can send up as well. And then that way you're not, you're not having to resend the drums and things like that they've already sent you. Okay. Another thing to note is you want to make sure that you always start from 0. So you notice like I started right here at the 1. Always want to do that. So that way, even if your lead is like way over here, you want to make sure that you bounce it from the very, very beginning. So that way when they import it, there isn't any, like they don't have to like slide it around to place it. Everything will automatically line up. They just have to import it right at the 0 mark, as they call it. Okay. So you want to make sure you do that. And I think that's about it. If you have any questions, ask in the channel or drop me a message or something like that, or ask your engineer too, or maybe I can make some more videos, but hopefully these 3 videos will at least get you started into, again, getting, recording DI tracks and getting them sent off for your mix engineer or for yourself to mix even in your own DAW. So hope that helps you out. Hope that makes sense. And yeah, just as a note, there's other ways to do this. Like for instance, you can use plugins, like some of the issues here. So like, if you go to this DI track, there's these insert effects, and you can use the new way, which is called Interact software, to get to here and use JamUp that way. The problem is you can only do one track at a time, which kind of makes sense if you think about it, because it's routing audio to your plugin and then back in. So you can only do one at a time. So that's why I still prefer to use AudioBus rather than doing it this way. And the other problem is if I want to use it as an input, it actually doesn't show up for whatever reason. And I tried Amplitude, I tried JamUp, it doesn't show up there. So you're kind of stuck having to use AudioBus and do JamUp that way. And again, I use a single track and then just copy it around. Anyway, so I hope that helps you out. Hope that gets you going. Anyway, thanks a lot.